Hello and welcome back to the devlog for my game, the Commandonuts. Over the course of this series, the game has started to take shape, but the gameplay still feels very flat. One of the most important parts of designing a game is player feedback. Anytime an action happens in the game, feedback is very important in adding to the experience. So what I'm going to do this episode is have a look at the camera to add some screen shake and effects when events happen, like shooting a gun or being hit. I'm also going to look at adding more weapons and ammo to the game to add a bit more variety to the gameplay. These small additions should make a massive impact to the overall feel. So let's just get straight to it. Right now, the camera is just a basic cam with no features whatsoever, and it's just connected to the player so it just moves together. But that looks so flat and it's not what I want to happen. So let's get Cinemachine installed. If you don't know what Cinemachine is, it's basically an extremely thorough suite of camera settings to use in Unity that allow you to create different effects without having to write any complex code, because someone smarter than you has already done it. And just by adding a couple of components to the existing camera, it's very easy to add a nice smooth follow effect, complete with dead zones where the player can move in between without their tracking, soft zones where the camera will slowly follow behind, and then an outside edge where the camera will instantly shift over if the player gets too far away. I wanted to have the camera lead the player when they move so they can see what's coming up in front of them. So I started by adding an object to the player that points in the direction of the player's movement. And after getting it right, I realised that Cinemachine has a feature that does this exact thing. So I deleted all that nerd work and moved the magic sliders to create the exact feature I wanted. And here you can see a little demo of the tracking in action. You can see there's a little yellow dot which is going to be showing where the camera is aiming towards. The blue square is the soft zone, so wherever the player is within this zone, the camera will slowly pan. And if the player ever made it outside of that to the red zone, the camera would instantly snap to them. And already the camera looks a lot more fluid. You can see in front of you a bit more, so you can see what you're coming up to, and it makes it feel just a little bit nicer. For a while, I experimented with adding recoil to the guns, so the screen shakes a bit after every shot, but after playing around with it, I decided against this as a normal feature, because it just doesn't feel right. Maybe I'll revisit this feature again one day, but for now, I'll leave it. At the minute, there's only one gun, the basic Colt, so it's very stale. Earlier in the series, when designing the item system, I created the gun's data already. So all that's needed is to draw the sprites and add them up to the enemy's drop tables. I opened Sketchbook and drew up the initial sprites for the SMG and the sniper, just to get some variances in the weaponry. Once these were drawn up and added to the game, I wanted to sort out the animation overrides, so the weapons could finally have a bit of movement to them when held and fired. And as I'd already set up the animation controller for when the fists attack, it was just a case of creating the override controllers and planning out the animation clips. For the idle animation, I just wanted to add a little bit of sway, moving up and down, and for the attack, just rotating the gun up a bit and moving it back, just to give the impression of a bit of a recoil. These clips are very simple, but quite effective when they're actually put together. And another important animation to add is the reload animation. And I decided to change up the code a little bit, so that the reload was no longer tracked by the timer, and instead was simply completed when the reload animation ends using an event marker. As each gun has a different reload length, I simply set the clip speed based on their values, and as the base clip is 1 second, I just divide it by the reload time to get the right speed. For example, if the gun has a 2-second timer, the clip will play at 0.5 times speed. This process was again very simple, as I had already done the work earlier. For once I've actually thought ahead when designing systems, and it's paid off. The next gameplay feature I wanted to implement was the ammo system, with each gun class having a different type of ammo, adding them to the enemy's drop table, and then allowing the player to pick them up. The first thing was to write up the basic code in the ammo scriptable object class and create some instances. To start with, I've only created one type, the 9mm, which will be used by both the pistols and SMGs. I then added a new property to the guns, which defines what type of ammo they use. And that was all that was needed for the ammo types itself. Next was to upgrade the reloads. To do this, I needed to add some code to the reload script to check the inventory for the ammo. Then, if possible, remove the ammo from the inventory and add them to the reload. Once this was in place, I realised that the guns don't actually check for ammo when it's empty, so it just keeps firing into the negatives. Just by adding a little check at the start, fixed this issue, and I had an initial ammo system in place, which is yet another great addition to the gameplay. I finished this feature by drawing up the sprites for the boxes of ammo to drop, and it was all done. Alright, so there's been some great work done to improve the feel of the game, and with lots of little features added, the game plays a lot better. For a little comparison here, as you see on the left hand side is the original gameplay, and the movement and the shooting is just a lot more flat, with the new gameplay on the right hand side looking a lot better and a lot more fluid. It's still a long way for where I want it to be, but for now it looks really good, and I'm happy with it. And that'll be it for this episode. Lots of progress made, and I'm now ready to move on to adding a big bulk of content next time by building on the foundations I've already worked on. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Remember to leave a like and comment down below with your thoughts on the new features and what you want to see in the future. Subscribe for more devlogs just like this. Check out the playlist for this game if you've missed the previous episodes, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.